here to stand in those shoes and follow my dad.
We often see you supporting the other luminaries, so.
He supports pretty much everything in this community. You are certainly still rising, my brother.
I appreciate it.
So what were your thoughts when you asked to be a part of this?
Of course, you know, it is always good to be recognized in terms of creating some voice, and that the voice, in fact, will be positive. For me, it's all about teaching and learning from my students. I constantly learned, and it's probably one of the things that I miss the most in terms of being retired, but why I had to create a class tonight.
Beautiful. Jackson, I have to ask you this, because it was the first thing you did when you seen me. When did you become a social media selfie archivist? How much space do you have on your phone, sir?
Not enough. There's different phases of this whole social media thing, but the picture taking started back when I was in Florida. You know, I'd go out to social events with friends and take pictures on my little disposable camera. You'd have to take that in and get it developed, but they would do the 1 hour.
The kids don't know nothing about that.
Yeah, we're talking about in Caregivers 30 years ago. But yeah, I would go to these social events, and you know, we'd start out with happy hour, and then you know, you have your late night stuff. But in between those, I would stop at the 1 hour place and do double photographs. Those are those little paper things. But no, I can double photographs, some to keep and then some to give away. And it went over very well with my friends, you know, having their copy of the picture. Fast forward to Facebook time, you know, do the same thing, you're tagging your friends and everything. But one of my friends stood in my kitchen at one of the social events, and he said to me, you know, I really like what you do, you know, very inspiring, you know, you take pictures of everything. I had a friend who passed away, and they didn't even have a picture for his funeral program. That friend who said that to me, certain people that you may not talk to or may not be as close as friends as they could be or should be or what have you. In my mind, it's like, okay, if you can't wish them happy birthday, maybe they're not your friend. See you later. So that's how I started going down the list with Facebook. I don't know if all that answered the
No, it definitely did. We're going to talk later, because I feel like some of them style here, so you don't caught me off guard, though.
That's yeah.
No, thank you for that. So your chapbook talks about prophecy and legacy as someone who literally shares the same name and occupation as their father. How do you set your service in the community apart from the work your father has done for you?
That's back to standing in the shoes of folks that you look up to. You know, I admired my dad. He was huge in the community. And I said there was, and I'm going to put it blunt, no way in hell that I would ever be
Pastor.
And I said that all my life. But, you know, sometimes you run so
Not for us.
But sometimes, you know, you run so far from something, you run right into it. So I'm here by the grace of God. But how I'm different than my dad, I'm just kind of casting the net a little wider. You know, his world was a little different than mine.
You taking selfies with people?
Yeah, but no, I think my world is a little more colorful than what my dad's was. You know, old school Southern Baptist preacher, you know, born in 1921, versus me, of the 16-year-old member. Yeah, so again, my social circle is all colors, shapes, sizes, persuasions, all of that. So that's how my role's a little different.
Yeah, I ran into somebody earlier today that she mentioned that about how just looking at everybody in the room, it really reflects, the diversity that you guys kind of encounter. And speaking of diversity, Dr. Miller Smith, as the founding dean of the Office of Multicultural Affairs and Diversity Programs at St. John Fisher, what are your thoughts on the recent attacks on DEI on college campuses nationwide?
Such a large question. I mean, how many years do you have? But I want to go back, first of all, and then we'll come back to that. But something that you touched on, Julius, really made me talk about legacies, icons in the community and so forth, the question you first asked us. When you talked about the pictures and, the man who didn't have one, it makes me think about two things, or they're actually continuums of each other. I love these two African terms, sasa and zamani. So it made me think about sasa and zamani in terms of, our sasa time is that time from life to death. And the people who have been luminaries in this particular project, they in fact, to me, have been selected, and there are so many, many more behind them, that their work on behalf of this community in particular moves them into Zamani time. And Zamani means what we leave here on this earth during our Sasa time is in fact like the baton picked up, and it lives in none time because it continues to water and brighten and grow our community. So that's part of, I think, the whole idea of highlighting the work of people, and that work comes from every single person that we meet right along. In transitioning to, I take those two questions in terms of diversity and its impact and so forth. That was one of the reasons that I crafted the piece that we heard tonight, because it was intended for us to really pay attention using artistic realms, whether it was, and you heard the beat, to take you back to Africa, you heard Motherless Child. We intentionally started there and moved to the blues of the gospel, towards the end, and to make sure that everything that was done on behalf of all of us, but particularly those of us of color, that in fact, we are seen, we are heard, we are, in fact. There are times when we really deep down, but there are times when we also will, in fact, continue to rise up, and then we have to rest. And so, Selah, we pause, we reflect, we give, and then we act. And the same thing happens in terms of when we talk about diversity. When I created the office at St. John Fisher College, one of the little mantras that I absolutely love, and I think it goes something like diversity, different individuals valuing each other, regardless of sex, intellect, talent, or years. Those are only some of the facets of diversity. But a lot of what we have done in that field was in fact to show people that in fact we all belong. We have to find and clear that space and that place, say on, as you asked me about college campuses. So it's about mentoring, right? I created a mentoring program called Connect for students who were off campus, who one day a student wandered into my office and turned out that he was a commuter and he had nowhere to go. Kind of in between classes because, as administrators of the campus and so forth, we were building, but really had not, thought in bigger detail about those students who were not, say, on the campus. Thank goodness, everything, as we know, at all of our surrounding campuses, and you don't even recognize them. There's so much that is going on because of those offices. But diversity in terms of the softening, to put it, I don't even know how we're really softening. But the fact is that it is still urgent. It is still necessary. We need the scholarships. We need all of the support of students in classrooms. We need to make sure that they are fed beyond the cafeteria. There is so much, everything that's happening to us is in fact happening on the campuses. They have many of those same needs.
Just really quickly, what can colleges locally here in Rochester do? Because as you know, a lot of the things that were pulled back are federal level.
Federal programs.
So what can they do to ensure that students who are different, who are minorities, are protected and do have the support that they need on campuses?
Every student needs the support. And students who are first generation, who come from various ethnic backgrounds and so forth, in particular, yes, they need the more support from us as a community. Even though when they are on the campus, it is more of a sort of an insulated community, we tend to forget. In Rochester, for example, we have so many scholarship programs for our students, and as we should. Literally now almost, from kindergarten all the way through, talk about K to 16, or K to 12. But what we tend to do is to forget. We send them off with all kinds of fanfare, We have all kinds of parties and this, that, and the other. But when they arrive, and especially moving into, say, that second year that is on campus, that's when need really comes. And so it is these cutbacks, not just in the program. That means people like us in this room who are also, giving. What I want to say to you is, do not stop at the party. It's a 4, 5, sometimes 6-year journey, depending on the program. Continue to help them to thrive and continue to make sure that our college presidents and provosts, I think that our provost, Dr. Kevin Riley is here tonight. He certainly has supported this effort, but they need that support in order to continue that tradition of, we're gonna see you walk across the stage, and then give back.
So you got that, everybody? Question for both of you. You both chose making an impact. We both could be making an impact anywhere in the world, but why Rochester?
To quote Frederick Douglass, there's no soil better than Rochester.
Come on.
The rest of the world is like 6 degrees of separation.
Mm.
In Rochester, it's about 2. I would say anybody in here that doesn't know me knows Arlette, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And anybody else in here, you know?
Yes.
Anybody that doesn't know Thomas Warfield? Anybody?
In the world.
Exactly. You can catch Arlette or myself, and we'll introduce you to Thomas before he nights up. Anyway, and that goes for anybody else in the room. John Williams, and you know, I'll stop naming names. I won't get in trouble. But anyway, Rochester.
Yeah, well, I'm a transplant. But of course, there are so many transplants, you know, this is another great migration. And especially, of course, from the Florida area. But I'm a Mississippi girl. And I tell you what, I mean, grew up, as I said, in the series 60s. I am so grateful for my village and my community there who have always, in fact, supported me. Rochester, the history is, so look at where we are. You know, here at the historic George Eastman House in and of itself. And to look at all the luminaries that, you know, are around us. But I call myself the whither thou goest woman, because Art Smith, who's in the house tonight, hello to Art Smith, you know, was a transplant in terms of when we started out. Wow, I can't even believe it. We're going into number 55, and killed each other. So that's how I've gotten here twice, in fact, twice. And this is, you know, I always said that, you know, when the body gives out and the salsa time ends, that I will definitely be going all the way back to Beulah, because Beulah is where everybody is that I still want to see. But you know what? It's gonna be somewhere here in Rochester, okay?
Thank you so much. So we do have a limited time, but I want to get our essayists and our photographers up on stage.
Fabulous,
So
fabulous.
we'll welcome Team Jackson, which is essayist Rob Bell, and photographer Narada Riley, and Team photographer Coco Ray.
All the teams are coming up. I gotta give a shout out to Mississippi too. With all the commonalities Arlette and I have together.
We both were Mississippi.
Yeah, we're both from Mississippi.
And close. I'm Pittsburgh, and you are?
Centerville, Gloucester, Macomb, all of that stuff.
Yes, Macomb, that may be the only one, the name that you recognize, okay?
Awesome. So
The other towns aren't much bigger than this room.
all right, well, welcome essayists and photographers. We got everybody kind of split up here. So we'll just get right into it. Talking to both the essayists, Takia and Rob. Well, actually, Rob specifically. What were you able to gather for the essay after attending church service at Unity Church in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think that's when the whole story kind of came together. At that point, I had talked to JD about 2 or 3 times, and then I got to see him at the radio show, which was fun. But I told him that I can't finish the story until I see you preach.
I don't really see the preachers. I haven't seen him yet, so that was.
And I myself, unfortunately, hadn't been to church in a while myself. I probably do. But I think, you know, it's a delicate balance when you write something about somebody, you know, you never want to inject yourself. But at the same time, you want to connect, so you feel connected to the material. And I think that was the moment that I connected. I went to be a witness and to observe, but I ended up really getting a lot out of the sermon myself. So I think that guided my writing at that point.
I think you need to go to Pittsburgh. Takia, having a relationship with Dr. Miller Smith prior to this project, Was there any topic that you were hesitant to ask about?
No. Because I admire her life. She's also my daughter. We make this joke. She's my mother, my daughter. She's the supreme ruler of all things. And I'm only a little bit scared of her, right? And I have this supreme respect for her. So because of our relationship, our mutual respect, our care for each other, but I'm also a fan, right? And I could not enter into this space. My writing is going to be on point, so that was never the issue. But I could not tell her story. And so there was nothing, I probably asked too much stuff. I have hours of recordings, but because of our trusted relationship, we've been partners in writing, we're family, we are friends, we are colleagues, and I'm her legacy as well. I'm not a biological child, but I'm a professor, I'm a creator, and I know that if I have the opportunity to tell her story publicly, then I owe her the honor of jumping right in. And I'm nosy.
Really quickly, is there anything, I'll ask this at in this moment event, but I'm always very curious, because it's such a, you only have so many words to fit in somebody's whole life, and they're still living, so was there anything that, you're comfortable in sharing that didn't make it into the chat books?
Oh my God.
So my therapist says, yes, there is. When I started writing this, I told Jean and Amanda, I will only defer to her. I don't care what editor you bring in, I don't care. Both of us are writing professors. She's a Black woman, she is 75 at the time. She's gonna tell her story, and that is who I will report to. So, when that happened, we had a theme, we were going for this quilting theme. And then I was asking her all of these questions about her family life, and there were some very personal stories that I won't get into. And I had written my first draft, which was like amazing, but it had all these family stories in there. And they were very private. Well, she told me, like I didn't make this up. And she read it and she was like, you're writing this show. That's my daughter laughing because I was in therapy. I'm like, no, that's true. But when I tell you I rewrote it overnight and I took some of the other elements because I respect her, and I could not do to her what I would not allow somebody else to do, tell parts of her story. So I gave it back to her and said, you're gonna have to write this yourself because we need to know. You don't just get to witness, you teach us and you create a legacy. And so in this moment is right now, but there's another moment that she'll tell the rest of her story.
And tell them what you told me about these hours and hours of notes. And
This not gonna be a subpoena, is it?
she's talking about a couple Mississippi stories.
Yes.
That are extraordinarily meaningful and competitive, but at the end, you gave me advice in terms of where I should, in fact, you would like to see me go, not where I should
See,
go.
you go. I'm not doing that. I know that was like, girl, you wore me out in the best possible way. But there's a lot of water happening, there's a lot of quilting, and we just have to sit at the feet of our elder women and elder men and really just respect, like we're in communication all the time. And it's been my honor to be able to share your story, but she's gonna tell the next part of it.
I'll share.
So, did we just get an exclusive that there may be a book coming, is that it?
It's a doodle.
Same question.
So JV is a fascinating person. He comes from a very famous family in this city. I had the privilege of covering him twice when I was at the Democratic Chronicle. So the first story was on the church bombing that happened to his dad's church. Was it Thanksgiving night? 1971. So I already knew about that story. And then the Facebook thing, I'm just enamored by. Like, he catches me off guard all the time. On my birthday, I'm like, oh yeah, there's that awkward picture I took with JV. But I really wanted to avoid a lot of what I knew and get to know him right now. Because I think that was what we talked about, is not writing a biography, which I could have done. He's worth a biography. But I think that, especially the moment that we're in this country right now, with that as the backdrop and him being who he is, I was really able to just be laser focused on the moments that we spent together, and I think what that meant right now for who we are as people. So it wasn't tough. It was tough to not ask those questions about some of his family history and some of the things that he does around the city. But I knew we didn't have too much time. I had a deadline. So.
And to interject, what I told Rob specifically, you know, as a speaker, preacher, whatever, you go to places and people want your bio. So I've heard my bio, rewritten my bio, resume, all of that. For me, that's a noun. What he did may be a verb. So So I saw a side of me that I don't see, even in the mirror. So, yeah, so thank you, Rob, for your time.
That's the best compliment I can get.
Excellent at illustrating them through words, but we actually have these amazing photographers. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I would love to just kind of get pick your brain on how you approach this project and what came behind some of the decisions you made for the final edits. Ladies first.
Well, it was, okay, so this is my third iteration to this chapbook series. So of course, my previous luminaries, I got to know, whether that was through appreciation for Adrian and as well as familiarity for Dr. Clark through family and community. This was a little different for me because this was my first time getting a chance to meet Dr. Arlett. And I just took everything in as is. You know, I'm a very fluid person. I let things come as it is. And the moment of time, whether it's moments of happiness, whether it's moments of sadness, whether it's discomfort, anything, and I always want to capture the real person in that moment in time. And with Dr. Arlett, which I had such a great time with her. Like, I told her I felt like I was at my grandmother's house, and excuse me if I get a little emotional.
And she did. On our first shoot, it was absolutely so beautifully stunning.
And of course we're seeing like, I'm sorry. It was meant. It was kismet. It was really meant. She helped me through a lot of my healing process of grief. We went on any idea she wanted to do, and I did my best to capture her in her best light.
And
She has
fantastic. I am actually very photo shy. I mean, I really am. And no, I really am. And I've got to tell you that this young woman made me feel so comfortable. I mean, just so appreciated and lovely until I just right then and there fell in love with her. I fed her, I
couldn't leave your house and fed you.
If you want, every photographer that ITM has used, I know several of them, and they are simply superb. But I have to tell you that my experience with cocoa, sweet cocoa chocolate. We talked about my coma piece that I did because we do, sweet chocolate brown, and she just laughed, about that. Just extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you actually used a drone for Reverend Jackson's photos.
I did. That's a hard act. That's all behind Coco.
Is your microphone?
Hello? Is it on? Yeah. I don't talk to mics often. Okay, so, yes, I use the drone for mine. I always try to stay in the moment, try to be different. Rob is basically, he's my brother. So, knowing I was doing this project with him, I wanted to make sure I did above and beyond never met Reverend before, so had to stay in the moment. And we spent a lot of time with each other that day. Pretty much explained his whole life, and that was great. But inside the church, it was a little scary playing the drum in there. I didn't want to dance. We got it completed, and I wanted to show a good side of people using drums, because people always think bad about them. But I thought it was a unique angle to be able to catch JD from that way, and also the one from the lower angle to look like you're a churchgoer, and you're viewing him from there. So that was another strong point. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Everybody did a phenomenal job. Reverend Jackson and Dr. Miller Smith, please. Some of our previous luminaries. I see Ms. Thompson in the crowd. Please stand up. Well, here we go. Here we go. Thank you everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us for In the Moment. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, guys. Thank you. We're going to see you right here on our next video. Thank you, guys. This is the Coma Choir over here. And everybody on got to just saying now goodbye. This was at the Dryden Theater at the Eastman House here in Rochester, New York. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. God bless you all. We're going to see you right here in our next video.